What's this? A real challenge? You finally caught my attention.
I know. I said Living Lightning is over. There's no way. The skill is trash. But then I thought, well, maybe we can throw enough currency at it until it works. So here we are now. After transitioning to trade and throwing a couple more divines at the build than I anticipated for, we have a pretty decent char.
I transcended all this long ago. Feel the thrill of the void.
However, for the amount of investment, I have to say it's not as good as many other builds, though it has been quite a challenge, quite the fun, so yeah, let's roll. With a whole lot of changes to the basic concept of the character, ranging from gems, the Ascendancy, big parts of the skill tree, a lot of items, and generally just the setups we were using, we have achieved something that is actually playable. This hybrid of a Dominating Blow and Living Lightning Inquisitor excels at farming maps. While it can do pretty much all Uber bosses, it really is a pretty decent farmer. One of its biggest strengths is that it is completely mod agnostic, so it can run all map mods. This does not mean that all map mods are pleasant. For example, the Exile runes casually just kill our animate guardian because he refuses to move out of them. Less recovery and no regeneration can be quite annoying, as you're seeing in the background footage, and double reflect mods can be really annoying. However, we can run all the mods, and we do so all of the time. So generally this is a really nice character to farm 8 more tier 17s, 8 more tier 16.5s and the like. What it struggles with is extremely tanky enemies, as our single target just isn't that great. This does also mean that the high-end blight stuff, for example, is kinda just off the table, because it's just not good enough for that. But first, let's check out how the character actually works.
I share the same weakness as my fellows. And now you come to me. Is it bravery or foolishness? You will long for non-existence.
We are running a Shaper weapon with a whole lot of support gems in it. In the Shaper weapon we are running Dominating Blow with the Living Lightning support. These two are basically what make the character. Dominating Blow is really our single target, and Living Lightning clears most of the maps. Especially the Val Dominating Blows are an insane single target boost, and the sole reason why we switched over to the Chaos Bloodline to have good uptime on them. While you could say just remove Living Lightning and play Dominating Blow, it would be better, I certainly disagree. I do think Living Lightning actually is a pretty good support for Dominating Blow, because the speed really isn't its main focus. While it can do that, the Living Lightnings just are a lot more aggressive and fly around the map way more freely. With some changes to the weapon, you could focus either more on the Living Lightnings with stuff like +2 support gems, or more on the Dominating Blow with more support for Empower, for example, which wouldn't support the Living Lightnings. However, there are a lot of options you have for this build to change it to your liking, so generally I really like projects alike, because these builds really can look very different from each other, because everybody can choose a bit of their preferences and focus on those. For the remaining gems in our main setup, we're running an Awakened Minion damage support, increased critical damage, multi-strike, and physical to lightning. For elemental reflect maps, I like to switch out physical to lightning or the crit multi to awakened elemental damage with attacks for reflect immunity. You can also switch stuff in like an anti-block gem, which also helps with, well, block maps. With some changes to the supports in the weapon, you could also drop melee splash and elemental damage with attacks as mods on the weapon and run elemental damage with attack and awaken melee splash as main gems and only swap melee splash out for bigger bosses. This would generally be quite the damage upgrade, but we have to run with what we got. To enable all these gems, we do also run the Squire in our offhand. For the body armor, we run a Flash Crafter with Animated Guardian and Raised Spectres. Here we are running Feeding Frenzy, Empower, Meat Shield and Minion Life. You could drop the Feeding Frenzy on very difficult maps to just give them a little bit more survivability. In our gloves we are running Leap Slam, Molten Shell with Automation and an Abyssal Socket. For the helmet we use Clarity, a level 1 here, Tempest Shield, Determination and Flesh and Stone. We're running Clarity level 1 just to enable our Watcher's Eye for reduced cost of skills. Last but not least, our boot setup is an Arcanist brand with Spirit Offering, Desecrate and Assassin's Mark. If you happen to stumble upon an amulet with 2 anoints, you could also add an Abyssal Socket here and remove the Desecrate by using the anoint that lets you use your offerings without corpses. With the gems aside, let's take a look at the items themselves. As I said, for the body armor we run Flash Crafter. This is just an extremely good body armor. It removes all needs for elemental reduction, penetration or alike. All we need is 1 jewel, which gives some chaos resist to our minions. Then we run a corrupted ancient skull with +1 to power charges. For the amulet we run a replica dragon fang with +3 to dominating blow. This is basically one of the best upgrades for a single target here. The ring I have not changed yet. I'm still running my synthesized bone ring with increased maximum life, reduced mana cost, strength, life, minion damage, minion attack speed and some resistances, and most importantly reduced mana cost of skills. I currently am working on a new synthesized base to make a really strong ring, however I have to pour a couple more 100 divines into this until it's finished. The other ring simply is a Calandro's Touch, and our gloves are a bit more interesting. With fractured minion damage here to then go with the fossils for Abyssal Socket and the corrupted Essence mod with more attack speed. Then used suffixes cannot be changed, Reforged Chaos for the resistance, got Reforged Life for the tier 1 life, and then just crafted Energy Shield. For the implicits I wanted Effect of Mark for bossing and non-Val Strike skills target 1 additional nearby enemy. You really want this to have Dominating Blow feel actually usable. For the boots we went with Fractured Life and then Fossil Spams for life regeneration rate, life regeneration and cannot be poisoned, and then use suffix cannot be changed, Reforged Speed for movement speed. And finally just crafted Life Reg. The implicits here are Life Reg and movement speed, however I would prefer life regeneration rate and action speed. The belt just as a mage build. We are running one Life Flask with Bubbling and Corrupting Blood immunity, and then we have a Granite Flask with Armor, Topaz Flask with Life Reg, Sapphire Flask with Avoid Shock, and a Ruby Flask with movement speed. You could switch the movement speed to item rarity for gold farming, though I later on want to switch in a gold flask anyways. In the skill tree we are running 2 12 passive clusters with 35% effect. One of it has 4% to all elemental resistances, 10 maximum life and 3 attack and cast speed. The other one has maximum life, attack and cast speed and chaos resistance. Then we run Forbidden Flame and Flash for Unwavering Crusade, a Glorious Vanity for Corrupted Soul, a Watcher's Eye for reduced mana cost of skills, chance to block attack damage and physical damage reduction, and a Storm Shroud with Reservation Efficiency. However, you don't need the Reservation Efficiency in this variant of the build. For the Ghastly Eye Jewels, you just want a lot of flat damage, stats you need, attack and cast speed, Corrupted Blood immunity, and 1 Chaos Resistance Jewel. The Ascendancy hasn't changed from the last time. We still run Augury of Penitence, Sanctuary and Pious Path. These just provide the most value. For our Val skill we now run Priest of Yaomak. This gives 20% reduced soul gain prevention duration, Val skills require 30% less souls to be used, and Val skills have 20% chance to regain consumed souls when used. This just provides us with so many souls and the ability to regain souls while our Val domination still is up, to basically always have all 3 Sentinels of Dominance while mapping and oftentimes while bossing as well. Corrupted Soul provides us with a ton of defense as it adds some energy shield and lets us utilize our life and energy shield regeneration at the same time. Divine Shield just provides us with some additional energy shield recovery. Our Animated Guardian runs with a Kingmaker, a Garb of the Ephemeral, a Mask of the Stitched Demons, boots with the drop brittle ground while moving, and gloves with intimidate on hit. The boots and the gloves do also have quite a bit of resistances, as we don't have great sources for resistances on the Animate Guardian otherwise. As specters, we are running a perfect forest tiger, a warlord, a chieftain, and a spirit of fortune. On the Pantheon, we are running Soul of Lunaris and Soul of Tukohama. You can also run Soul of Yugul when doing reflect maps. This pretty much sums up the entire character. If you have any questions about the character or just want to give some more input on what you would improve upon, let me know in the comment sections. If this was any helpful, feel free to drop a like and see you in the next one.